Chosen one, the sky just turned red for a reason. And this moment was marked with your name long before you looked up. I need you to feel the weight of that for a second. Not in a dramatic way, not in a fear-driven way. Just let it land. When the moon shifts into that deep crimson glow, when the night looks different than it did the evening before, it does something to your spirit. It slows you down. It makes you look up. It interrupts the routine. And that interruption is not random. It's a sign, not superstition, not fantasy, a sign of transition, of culmination, of something closing and something else beginning. Before we go deeper into this, stay with me until the very end of this message. Don't skim. Don't half listen. There's something layered here, and you'll feel it unfolding if you give it your full attention. And when it settles in your spirit, when you feel that confirmation that this is speaking directly to you, I want you to write your warmest wishes in the comments and seal them with Amen. Just once, from the heart. This is a chapter about wishes coming true and energizing the universe, about aligning your expectation with what heaven has already set into motion. But after that moment, we're going beyond wishing. We're stepping into awareness. Because the blood moon is not about fear, it's about revelation. Throughout history, people have looked at the sky and sensed that something bigger than them was moving. Not in chaos, in rhythm. The moon doesn't randomly turn red. It shifts because alignment happens. The earth, the sun, the moon lining up in precise timing. That alignment creates a shadow, and that shadow reveals something rare. Alignment creates revelation. And right now, your life is in alignment for revelation. There are truths being exposed, illusions dissolving. Things you couldn't see clearly before are becoming undeniable. The blood moon energy is about exposure, not to shame you, but to free you. You've been in a season where certain patterns were tolerated because they were familiar. Certain dynamics were accepted because they were comfortable. Certain doubts were entertained because they felt safe. But something has shifted. You can't ignore what you see now. The red moon is symbolic of intensity, of heightened awareness, of cycles ending. When the moon changes color, it signals a turning point in the rhythm of time. And in your life, there is a cycle closing. Not dramatically, but definitively. You've felt it. That subtle detachment from what once consumed you. That emotional distance from what once triggered you. That clarity around who and what no longer fits. You didn't force it, it just happened. That's alignment. When alignment happens, you don't have to fight as hard. You just know. And knowing changes behavior. The blood moon is a reminder that shadows reveal what light alone cannot. There are parts of you that have been hidden, not because they were wrong, but because you weren't ready to confront them. Old fears, old grief, old anger, old desires you suppressed because they felt too big. This moment is not about punishment, it's about integration. When the sky darkens and the moon glows red, it feels intense, almost dramatic, but it's temporary. It passes, and what remains is clarity. The same is happening in your life. There may be emotional intensity right now, conversations that feel heavier, decisions that feel weightier, memories resurfacing, dreams becoming more vivid. That's not coincidence. That's awareness expanding. Expansion can feel uncomfortable because it stretches your identity, You are not who you were last year, not even close, and the blood moon energy highlights that transformation. You've shed layers quietly. You've endured internal battles privately. You've questioned yourself deeply. You've rebuilt your standards without announcing it. Now, the external world is catching up to your internal shift. There is also something about timing here. The moon moves in cycles, and cycles matter. You've been in a waiting cycle, a preparation cycle, a refining cycle. Now, you're stepping into a manifestation cycle, but manifestation isn't magic. It's momentum meeting maturity. You've matured. You don't react the same way. You don't chase the same validation. You don't tolerate the same chaos. That maturity is why this sign feels personal. Not everyone will feel it. Not everyone will sense it. But you do, because you've been paying attention. There's also a deeper spiritual layer here. Red represents life, blood, covenant, sacrifice. It symbolizes something costly but sacred. The blood moon is a reminder that transformation often requires letting something bleed out of your life. Old habits, old relationships, old identities. Letting go can feel like loss, but it's actually space-making. Space for what aligns with who you are becoming. You cannot carry every version of yourself into the next chapter. Some versions were survival-based. Some were trauma-informed. Some were built around fear. But now, you're building from awareness, from clarity, from strength. The blood moon marks endings that make room for beginnings. And here's the part that feels almost surreal. You've been sensing something coming. You couldn't name it. You couldn't predict it. But you felt it, like the air was shifting, like conversations were lining up, like doors were subtly positioning themselves. That's not imagination. That's alignment in motion. When cosmic alignment happens, earthly alignment follows. Opportunities may appear suddenly. Clarity may come in one decisive moment. A conversation may unlock something you've been wrestling with for months. Pay attention. This is not the season to be distracted. This is not the season to numb yourself. This is the season to observe, to reflect, to respond intentionally. You don't have to force anything. Just remain aware. The blood moon doesn't last forever. It's a window. Windows require attention. You are standing in a window of acceleration, not chaos. Acceleration. Things that felt stagnant will begin moving. Things that felt confusing will become clear. Things that felt delayed will begin aligning. But acceleration requires readiness. And readiness is written all over you. You've developed discipline. You've cultivated patience. You've strengthened boundaries. You've deepened your discernment. Discernment is crucial right now. Not every opportunity is aligned. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every door should be walked through. Just because something appears dramatic doesn't mean it's divine. Stay grounded. Stay reflective. Stay steady. The blood moon reminds you that intensity passes, but clarity remains. So don't panic if emotions rise. Don't fear if something ends. Don't cling to what's clearly closing. Trust the cycle. Trust the timing. Trust the growth you've already embodied. Chosen one, this is not superstition. This is symbolism meeting self-awareness. You are not being warned. You are being awakened. Awakened to your own evolution. Awakened to the cycle completing. Awakened to the next level, forming quietly in the background. Look up, not just at the sky, but at your life. See how far you've come. See how much you've shed. See how much stronger you are than you were when the last cycle began. This red moon is not a threat. It's confirmation. confirmation that change is not random. It's rhythmic, and you are in rhythm with something greater than your doubt. Let this moment anchor you. Let it remind you that transitions are sacred. Let it affirm that what feels intense now is actually making room for something aligned. The sky turned red. Your life is turning a page, and this is not a coincidence. Alignment and shadow. The earth moves into alignment and shadow. The earth moves into position, and suddenly what was bright becomes dimmed, tinted, altered. Not destroyed, just revealed differently. That's what's happening inside you. This chapter is about what the blood moon is exposing in your inner world. Because signs in the sky are easy to romanticize. They're dramatic, beautiful, mysterious, but the real transformation doesn't happen above you. It happens within you. Something has been surfacing lately. Old emotions you thought you buried. Old memories you assumed were healed. Old insecurities you believed you had outgrown. And it caught you off guard. You thought you were past that. You thought you were stronger than that. But strength doesn't mean the absence of shadow. It means the willingness to face it. The blood moon energy is reflective. It slows you down. It dims the noise. It makes you more aware of what's underneath the surface. And what's underneath is not weakness. It's truth. Truth about what still hurts. Truth about what still triggers you. Truth about what you still desire, but haven't admitted out loud. There is nothing wrong with you for having layers. Growth is layered. Healing is layered. And evolution is layered. Sometimes you revisit something not because you failed, but because you're strong enough now to go deeper. That's what this chapter is. Depth. You're being invited to sit with yourself honestly. No distractions. No spiritual bypassing. No pretending you're above certain emotions. If anger rises, ask why. If sadness surfaces, ask where it began. If jealousy flickers, ask what it reveals about your unmet longing. These are not flaws. They are doorways. Shadow work is sacred. It's uncomfortable, yes. It challenges your ego. It challenges your self-image. It forces you to admit you're still human. But it also liberates you. Because what you name loses power over you. What you face no longer controls you from the dark. The red moon reminds you that shadow is not evil. It is part of alignment. Without shadow, the eclipse doesn't happen. Without shadow, revelation doesn't come. And without revelation, growth stalls. You've been strong for a long time, strong for others, strong in crisis. Where have you been suppressing emotion? Where have you been suppressing emotion because you thought you were past it? The blood moon says it's safe to look, not to judge, not to condemn, but to integrate. Integration is powerful. It's when you stop fighting parts of yourself and start understanding them. The anxious part, the wounded part, the ambitious part, the fearful part. They all belong. And when you integrate them, you become whole. Wholeness is not perfection, it's acceptance. And acceptance stabilizes your spirit. You may notice your dreams have been more vivid lately, more symbolic, more intense. Pay attention. Your subconscious speaks in symbols when your conscious mind is too busy to listen. You might also notice heightened intuition. You sense when something is off faster. You feel when something aligns deeper. That sensitivity isn't random. It's expansion. But sensitivity requires grounding. If you're not grounded, heightened awareness can feel overwhelming. So ground yourself, slow down, Breathe deeply, journal honestly, walk in silence sometimes. Not everything needs immediate action. Some things need contemplation. This chapter is contemplative. You're not being asked to move dramatically. You're being asked to look inward courageously. There is something powerful about being able to say, "Yes, I still struggle with that," and not collapse in shame. There is power in saying, "I want more," without guilt. There is power in saying, "I'm not fully healed yet," without self-condemnation. The blood moon doesn't accuse the earth for casting shadow. It simply aligns and reveals. You don't need to accuse yourself for having layers. Just observe, learn, integrate. You are evolving into someone more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware, more grounded. That evolution doesn't happen through hype. It happens through honesty, and honesty requires courage. You have that courage. You've demonstrated it by even listening this far. Not everyone wants to look at their shadow. Some prefer distraction. Some prefer denial. But you're different. You feel when something deeper is happening. You sense when a cycle is closing, not just externally, but internally. There are patterns you are breaking quietly, reactive tendencies that are dissolving, old narratives about yourself that are losing credibility. You don't believe the same lies about yourself anymore. You don't shrink the same way. You don't explode the same way. You pause. That pause is maturity. Maturity stabilizes destiny. You cannot carry expansion if your emotions control you. This chapter is strengthening your emotional foundation so that when visible changes begin, you're steady. You're not triggered into self-sabotage. You're not overwhelmed by pressure. You're integrated. Wholeness makes you powerful, not intimidating, just stable. And stable people build lasting things. The blood moon marks a moment of introspection. It's not about predicting the future. It's about understanding yourself in the present. And the more you understand yourself, the more intentional your future becomes. You are not being exposed to shame you. You are being revealed to yourself so you can evolve beyond what limited you. That's sacred. That's personal. And that's why this sign feels like it's speaking directly to you. Because it is. Not in a mystical fairy tale way, in an alignment way. You are aligned with growth. Aligned with awareness. Aligned with integration. This chapter is about depth. And depth is where real transformation begins. Stay with yourself in this. Don't rush past it. Don't numb it. Don't scroll away from your own reflection. The sky may have turned red for a moment, but your inner awareness is turning clearer with every honest look inward. And that clarity will carry you into the next chapter stronger than ever. Chosen one, this chapter is about what breaks when the light changes. When the moon turns red, it doesn't destroy the night. It alters it. The familiar glow becomes something deeper, heavier, almost ancient. And in that altered light, cracks become visible. That's what's happening now. Things that once felt stable are starting to show fractures. Not necessarily dramatic collapses, not explosions, just small realizations that something doesn't fit the way it used to. A job that feels misaligned, a friendship that feels one-sided, a habit that feels beneath who you're becoming. Under normal light, you could ignore those cracks. You could rationalize them. But under this kind of light, they're undeniable. And here's the hard part. When something cracks, you have a choice. Patch it temporarily and pretend it's fine. Or let it break so something stronger can be built. This chapter is about breaking, not you breaking down. Structures breaking away. Old identities cracking open. False stability collapsing. You've been holding certain things together out of loyalty, out of fear, out of nostalgia. And it took something dramatic, something symbolic, like a blood moon, to mirror the intensity of what's shifting inside you. You can feel the pressure building. Pressure is not always negative. Pressure reveals structural weakness. If something is solid, pressure strengthens it. If something is fragile, pressure exposes it. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" maybe ask, "What is this revealing?" Revelation is uncomfortable. It strips away illusion. It confronts denial. It forces you to admit what you already sensed. You knew that situation wasn't aligned. You knew that person was draining you. You knew that compromise was costing you more than it was giving. But you stayed. And that's okay. You stayed because you were still learning. But you're not in that stage anymore. This chapter is about courage to release. Release doesn't always mean dramatic exits. Sometimes it's emotional detachment. Sometimes it's lowering access. Sometimes it's shifting expectations. Sometimes it's silently deciding, this is no longer where I invest my energy. That quiet decision can change your entire trajectory. When the moon turns red, it signals culmination. Something has reached its peak. It cannot continue in the same form. That's where you are. Certain cycles have peaked, and cycles that peak must conclude. You don't have to force the ending. Just stop forcing the continuation. There's a big difference. You don't have to burn bridges. You just have to stop rebuilding them when they collapse. You don't have to announce your departure. You just have to stop showing up where you're no longer valued. You don't have to justify your growth. You just have to honor it. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like liberation. That's the part no one talks about. When you detach from what you've known, there's a moment of emptiness, a pause, a quiet space where the old is gone and the new hasn't fully arrived. That in-between space is sacred. It's not failure, it's transition. Transitions are rarely comfortable, but they are necessary. If nothing ever broke, nothing new could be formed. And you are being formed. You are not falling apart. You are shedding outdated layers. There's also a recalibration happening in your standards. Things you once tolerated now feel unbearable. Conversations that once entertained you now feel shallow. Environments that once felt normal now feel heavy. That's not arrogance. That's awareness. Awareness shifts tolerance, and lowered tolerance for misalignment is a sign of elevation. You don't crave chaos anymore. You crave clarity. You don't chase intensity. You crave peace. Peace used to feel boring to you. Now, it feels priceless. That shift alone is proof of evolution. The blood moon symbolizes intensity, yes, but intensity doesn't last forever. It catalyzes change, and then it fades. What remains after intensity fades is structure. The question is, what are you building? Are you rebuilding old patterns with new language? Or are you constructing something genuinely different? This chapter demands honesty. Not surface-level honesty, deep honesty. What are you afraid to release? Is it comfort, identity, validation, control? Control is a big one. Sometimes we hold on to broken things because at least we understand them. The unknown feels riskier, but the unknown is where expansion lives. You cannot step into expansion while clinging to collapse. That's the truth. And it's not harsh. It's liberating. You are allowed to outgrow spaces. You are allowed to detach from dynamics. You are allowed to say, this chapter is complete. Completion is powerful. It frees energy. energy that was tied up in maintaining what was breaking. That freed energy can now be redirected into growth, into creativity, into discipline, into alignment. Chosen one, breaking is not always destruction. Sometimes it's purification. Fire refines. Pressure strengthens. Exposure clarifies. You are being refined, and refinement always costs something. But what it gives in return is clarity, and clarity is priceless. The sky turned red. Your life is turning a corner. Don't fear what's cracking. Honor it. Observe it. Release what must fall, because what survives this intensity will be stronger. And what doesn't survive was never meant to carry you forward. You are not losing. You are clearing. And clearing creates space for what aligns with who you are becoming. Stay steady through the breaking. It is not chaos. It is construction in disguise. Chosen one, this final chapter is not about the moon anymore. It's about what remains after the red fades. Because the blood moon doesn't stay in the sky forever. It appears. It shifts the atmosphere. It captures attention. And then, slowly, quietly, it returns to its usual glow. If you weren't paying attention, you might miss the significance of what just happened. But you were paying attention. And that's why this wasn't just an astronomical event for you. It was a mirror. Now the sky looks normal again, but you don't. Something in you has settled. Or maybe it's sharpened. It's hard to describe. It's like a deep, internal recalibration. Not dramatic, not loud, just steady. This is the stage where integration happens. You've reflected. You've confronted your shadow. You've acknowledged what's cracking and what needs to fall. You've felt the intensity of transition. Now comes embodiment. This is where you stop looking for signs and start living as one. Because here's the truth. The blood moon wasn't sent to shock you. It was sent to wake you. And once you're awake, you don't need constant cosmic reminders. You move differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. You don't react the same way you used to. You don't spiral as easily. You don't cling as tightly. There's a quiet detachment from what no longer aligns. Not coldness, not bitterness, just clarity. Clarity feels calm, and calm is powerful. You used to associate growth with intensity, with big emotional moments, with dramatic decisions. But now you understand that the deepest shifts are subtle. They show up in restraint, in patience, in discipline, in the decision not to respond, in the decision to walk away peacefully, in the decision to prioritize your own alignment over external approval. That's evolution. You don't need the sky to turn red to know when something is complete anymore. You feel completion. You feel when a cycle has run its course. You feel when your spirit is nudging you forward, and you trust it. That trust is the real transformation. Because once you trust yourself, truly trust yourself, you stop outsourcing your discernment. You stop waiting for unanimous agreement. You stop hesitating at every threshold. You become steady. Steady people don't panic when seasons change. They adjust. And seasons will continue to change. There will be more transitions, more revelations, more expansions. But now, you understand the rhythm. Intensity, reflection, release, integration, stability. You've lived it, and that knowledge makes you resilient. The next time something shifts in your life, you won't immediately fear it. You'll recognize it. You'll say, This is another turning, and you'll move accordingly. That's wisdom. The blood moon was symbolic of culmination. This chapter is about continuation. What do you do after revelation? You live differently. You hold your boundaries more firmly. You invest your energy more intentionally. You speak your truth more calmly. You protect your peace more fiercely. Peace is not passive. Peace is disciplined. It requires saying no. It requires walking away. It requires resisting the pull of nostalgia when it tries to drag you backward. Nostalgia is seductive. It makes you forget why you needed to grow in the first place. But you remember. You remember the exhaustion, the confusion, the self-doubt, the shrinking. You didn't come this far to re-enter that cycle, and you won't, because this time your awareness is anchored. Chosen one, this sign wasn't about predicting your future, it was about confirming your readiness. You are ready to live with deeper intentionality, ready to stop tolerating what drains you, ready to release what has completed its assignment, ready to walk in quiet confidence instead of restless seeking. That readiness is not loud, it's embodied. You don't need validation for it. You feel it in your posture, in your breathing, in your responses. There's less chaos inside you now, less internal argument, less need to prove, more alignment, more focus, more discernment. That is what remains after the red fades. Not fear, not hype, alignment. You don't need to chase cosmic events to feel significant. Your daily discipline is significant. Your internal growth is significant. Your quiet integrity is significant. You are not waiting for destiny to announce itself with fireworks. You are building it in ordinary moments. That's the real spiritual maturity, not obsessing over signs, but integrating their message and moving forward. The blood moon came. It revealed. It intensified. It passed. And you remained stronger, clearer, more grounded. This is not the end of your evolution. It's the beginning of a more stable chapter, one where you don't need dramatic confirmation to trust your path, one where your inner compass guides you more than external symbols, one where you walk steadily, not because the sky demands it, but because your spirit is aligned. Chosen one, this was never coincidence, but it was never about the moon alone. It was about you recognizing that you are in rhythm with change, not victim to it. And now that you've recognized it, you don't go back to sleep. You stay awake, you stay aware, you stay aligned. The sky returned to normal, but you stepped into something permanent. And from here on out, you move not because something startled you, but because you know exactly who you are becoming.